Welcome to English 1101. Here we're going to take a brief look at the overall themes that our essays revolve around in this course. So let's start with number one. So in essay number one, we're going to choose a value and analyze a value that is important to you. You're going to define it, talk about how your life shows and represents that value that you choose. And you'll see that this is really the stepping stone for the course because we're looking at, kind of what makes you you, right? What makes you unique? That's kind of one of the underlying purposes of this essay is to look at and analyze and understand a value that's important to yourself, demonstrate it, show it through the use of personal examples. You'll learn more about that in the video for essay one. Now in essay two, we're going to do something similar, but we're going to take the focus on the value and we're going to shift it to looking at an organization or a group of people, and you're going to evaluate basically that organization. What are the values that this organization holds, and what is it that this organization does? So really in this essay two, you're looking at kind of twofold, right? What is the organization, like what do they do, what's their value, their purpose, you might say, and then how do they, like, what do they do, what do they do to support their values, to see that their values are represented in society, what is it that they do to support their own mission, their own values. And you see this with a lot of community service organizations. If their value or purpose is to, say, like, serve the community or help out the community, then obviously in the next part there, the enacting, you'd be showing, okay, so what is it specifically that this organization does, and how do those actions connect with the value that they have. And for more on that, of course, look at the little video there on essay 2. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and connect this with essay 3. Now, essay 3 is where we're going to do something a little bit closer to an argument, but it is not an argument. This is more of like an evaluation of someone's value, so like a personal value that someone has, and it would be like, say, I think it's written into the prompt here that you want to choose something that you disagree with, right? So you're looking to give a reasonable, objective, unbiased analysis of someone who holds different values than you. And that's specifically what you're trying to look at in essay 3. You want to find a text. Like when we talk about this essay, I usually find like the text there, like a speech, is a good text to look for. So find like a political speech. This person said something out loud, expressing their political opinions or beliefs. And in this essay, you want to, to the best of your ability, you're not arguing against this person. You're actually arguing more for, I would say, understanding. It's really not an argument. The best way to describe this is not an argument. It's more of like an evaluation. So like you looked at, say, essay 1, you looked at and analyzed your own personal value, like one value, like, I value community, or I value my family, or something like that, right? And you'd talk about how that value is part of your life and how you show that, you represent that, right? Same with the group in the essay 2. You'd be looking to, say, analyze that group. What's their goal? What's their purpose? And how do they show that, right? How do they achieve that purpose through, like, actually doing something, like through actual, say, community organizing or community events. Now, in essay 3, You want to find this political speech that you disagree with. But what we want to do here is we want to, okay, we want to analyze the writing to discover the core values, right? So the purpose of this essay is not to argue, right? We're not arguing, do you agree or do you disagree? It's kind of immaterial. I think we assume that you disagree. That's written into the prompt. So you're picking a position and a political speech that says things that you don't agree with, right? Yeah. And then what you want to do is you want to show, as it says here, demonstrate goodwill. Oh no, those are kind of what you're looking for, right? Yeah. So you want to choose a text that is intelligent, shows goodwill. These things will help you hopefully choose a text that won't be too offensive to you, because we don't want you to read anything that's offensive. That's not the purpose of this. But the purpose of this is to understand someone who holds a different value than you. That's, if you want to just encapsulate it to one thing, that's really what this essay is, right? This essay is you writing about and understanding someone else's core value, like a core value or core belief that you don't agree with, but you're understanding how someone else could, right? That seems like a very reasonable thing to do. Like, say, for example, um, you wanted to write about someone who was, say, a political belief that you disagree with. Like, for example, my wife and I, we often discuss this idea of liberalism, and find out, once we analyze and dissect our own beliefs, that you can't really say that we're liberals or conservatives. We have values that are liberal and we have values that are conservative. It's a lot more complex than just saying, oh, like someone's this and someone's that. At least in our case, we found that it's really, those kind of labels are rather insignificant and immaterial. And with our last one here, this is essay 4 in this class. We want to write a 2-page reflective speech about what you've learned about values and how they shape public action. Now, we've been focused on values and people's relationships between what they feel and what they believe and what they do. And I want you to think about that, right? Think about your personal reflection, the reflection on the group, the reflection on political speech, and think about that, right? What is the relationship between, like, how do people develop personal values? How do these values motivate people to do certain things or to promote certain things? And then, kind of come around and reflect about what all this means and what it's shown you about, I guess you might say, everyone's values and everyone's uh, perspective, you know. So again, this number 4 is a more formal speech. If you look at the video on essay 4, it'll talk more about that. But in this particular one, you want to do a lot of reflecting, a lot of thinking, a lot of analyzing and synthesizing of what you've learned throughout the semester in the form of a speech.